Well, just that there's nothing to be scared of with it. It's just a matter of being a little brave if you're hesitant, and having trust and faith in your own body's ability to heal itself, because that's what's happening with acupuncture and body work. We just know how to push the buttons and which buttons to push, but it's really your body and your mind that's doing the work. And so yeah, I would say if you if you're hesitant, then just jump in anyway. And most people are like, oh, I should have done this 20 years ago. And it's very rare that someone regrets doing acupuncture.
Hello, this is Kevin Pennell. Welcome to episode 142 of Toward a Better Life. And thank you so much, dear listener, for tuning in to this episode. In today's world, there truly is a need for seeking balance, harmony, compassion, kindness on so many different levels, personally, culturally, spiritually, to name some of them, but it all begins with each one of us as an individual. And that's what I like to share on this podcast from around the world, seeking others of the same heart, spirit, and mind. This is like a school or venue to begin and continue that journey for wholeness, harmony, and not only for ourselves, but for the generations yet to come. I also offer the opportunity for you to share your prose, your music, poetry, storytelling, and so much more. Please do subscribe to the program if you haven't done so already through your favorite podcast platform, and keep following for weekly magical insights into earth-based spirituality, self-development, and self-care. Also, remember to support the program by leaving your review on Apple, Spotify Podcast, or whatever platform you might be using. It only takes a moment to leave a review, and it just really helps the algorithms and helps to bring this program to so many more people. Do visit the website as well that I have, towardabetterlife.com, where you can contact me to learn more about your free discovery call to help you on your journey, along with prior episodes, learning opportunities, and services that I offer outside the podcast, plus a few items to assist you on your journey. Do contact me through my website or send inquiries to me, Kevin, at towardabetterlife.com. Well, this week I'm welcoming Erica Joy Siegel to the program. Erica is an acupuncture physician and herbalist in the Jacksonville, Florida area. She's been in practice for 20 years, assisting in treating a variety of health conditions, simple to complex, acute to chronic, and utilizing several techniques and adjunct therapies to get desired outcomes. She's the only practitioner in the region doing Acunova-a protocol from Denmark, using points on the hands and feet to help recover some vision and slow degenerative eye diseases. She's also unique in her offering of laser acupuncture for kids and needlephobes. Now that she's also authored a wonderful book, the Acupuncture Point Functions Charts and Workbook, which she's going to talk with us a little bit about on this episode, Acupuncture Demystified. And in today's episode, we're going to have a little chat with Dr. Erica Joy, who's an acupuncturist. And Erica, welcome to the program. And where are you and how are you?
I am in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. It's between St. Augustine and Jacksonville, and I'm doing fantastic.
Great. So, as an acupuncturist, we've talked a lot of stuff here on the program in the years that we've been doing this, and acupuncture has always had a very special part for me because most of the body work and massage work that I do and herbal work that I do, it has a lot of emphasis on traditional Chinese medicine, and I work with a lot of Asian techniques when it comes to massage. I joke around with clients telling them, they say, well, why do you do that? And I said, well, basically I'm lazy because for me, it's a whole lot easier to do some of the Asian techniques than it is, believe it or not, to do a Swedish massage.
Well, there is a lot of ergonomics to the Tuina, which is the Chinese medical massage. There's the whole basis of it is to make sure that the practitioner isn't hurting themselves when helping someone else. And so, using your own body weight and using your bony landmarks to do the work versus using force.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mhm.
I spent I had an 80-minute service today with somebody, and the man was complaining of arthritis in his hands and also arthritis in his feet. That's what he was diagnosed with. And I started working with him, and I worked on that lovely little connective tissue that's between the radius and the ulna and the forearm, and
Mm.
found this giant lump right in the middle of his brachioradialis. And I said, "Does this hurt?"
You knew it did.
Because in the technique that I do, I actually take in, and everyone, you're not seeing this, but what I do is I actually take my thumbs and I put it on opposite sides, and I actually just kind of work down that little channel, and it really opens stuff up. But it also, you can also find some stuff. So anybody that knows anatomy knows that the muscle you just said is not on the top of the forearm. That's right, it's not. But when I was grabbing underneath, I said, "Oh, that's different." And I turned it over and there it was. But it's just a matter of taking time to find out what's wrong and getting to the root of the issue. And that's kind of where I want to head.
Mhm.
Because isn't that what really acupuncture really does speak to? Going to the root of the issue?
Does. Yeah, we look at root and branch in traditional Chinese medicine. Root being, what is the causative factor? Is it something, emotional? Is it something environmental? Is it an injury? Um, so there's a lot of different reasons why something can go out of balance and start that road of dis-ease.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the branch treatments are more, just treating the symptom that's presenting itself. So, we do a lot of investigating to figure out, well, what is the cause, which organ systems are involved, uh,
Hmm.
and then how those interact with each other as well. So, one organ system starts to go out of whack, and then next thing you know, it's a domino effect, and all of them have something going on. So, unteasing and figuring out which organs might be at the root, or which meridians. And then, it is nice to treat the branch as well. If someone comes in, they've got elbow pain or back pain or something like that, it's nice to just do points that are going to just help move that chi easily in that area, which would just be considered a branch treatment. Like, okay, let's move the chi and blood in the large intestine channel.
Yeah.
That's kind
Sure.
of easy breezy. But is there something deeper going on, from a past event?
I love the term that you just mentioned it a little bit ago, and that's unteasing. And I said, wow, talk about a descriptive term, because my brain immediately goes to hair and
Mhm.
everything is just messed up into a knot. And
Yeah.
you come along with acupuncture and help to untease it, or you come in with various forms of whether it be manipulation through gua sha or cupping or acupuncture or what have you, but you're unteasing something in order to get to the root, which
Yeah.
is that's great.
Yeah. And sometimes that involves just using words and conversation and finding out as I get to know people over a course of treatments, different memories start to come up and out that maybe have been, bundled up in their knots. And maybe that they've been suppressing, and all of a sudden these memories start to float up to the surface. And um, so sometimes it becomes clear that the emotions were at the root of the knot, or some sort of perspective, or the words somebody uses can then create the energy of the knots. Even
Hmm.
using the word knot
Hmm.
is a form of emotional separation.
Yeah. It, well, they've heard me say it before, and that's how often that dis-ease that we can run into is actually, uh, I'm going to say,
founded in some emotional issue at some level. And when you're able to identify that emotional issue, that's the other domino effect in a good way,
Mhm.
because you say, "Oh, now I get it. Now I understand."
Yeah.
And when you're able to work with it from that perspective, it really does open a whole new avenue.
Hmm.
Gentleman I was referring to earlier, he trains, and he's a senior, and he's been doing this for, Lord knows uh, how many years he's been doing this. And classic question I ask, it may be the same thing that you ask, is tell me what you've been doing lately, or how long ago did this really start? How long
Hmm.
ago did this problem really start to come together?
Hmm.
And he says, well, it's been a couple of years. I said, what did you change 2 years ago?
Hmm.
And let them get involved in the process. And
Hmm.
any acupuncturist that I've ever been to, you all have the same persona, in the sense of enter into a conversation to find out why you're doing what you're doing, rather than just saying, okay, you have this symptom, this symptom, this symptom, this symptom, and it has to be this. Not necessarily
Yeah. It's more circular thinking instead of this linear,
linear.
like
Yeah.
cause this, cause this. No, it's because once we find that root, that could have sprung so many different variables within the body's reactions and responses.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's more circular thinking.
What led you into acupuncture?
So I actually started, I thought I was going to be an architect growing up or a designer. That was
Okay.
that was my trajectory. And then decided to, change course. And in undergrad, I was very much interested in the psyche, religions, philosophy, life, and why we're here, and the celebration of it, and amazement of life. And um, so really just changed course, and I wound up found a program in feng shui that was starting like literally the week after I graduated undergrad. I really wasn't sure what I was going to do. I knew I wanted to live life to the fullest and help other people live life to the fullest. And then I was living in New York City at the time, and I opened the Open Center in New York, opened their catalog, saw a program in feng shui, and I said, "Oh, that's it. It has all my interests right there." And so I started a program, and then by the end of that program, I had moved to San Diego and finished my training. My professors were in the Bay Area,
Yeah.
and so finished it out in California, and then went to school for acupressure for a little while because I was already familiar through feng shui with the Taoist thinking and all the ancient Eastern theory and thought, and um, so it really just it made sense as a progression, once
Okay.
doing the acupressure, um, and then I was living close to Pacific College, and I looked at their acupuncture program and started getting acupuncture myself and experiencing how amazing it was. It helped me immensely with, I used to have terrible, terrible menstrual cramps.
Hmm.
The herbs and the acupuncture solved it within a month. It was like I had years of pain, and within 1 month it was gone.
Sold.
Sold, yeah. And so, and I get excited. Like today, I had a new patient, and her issue is painful periods. And I'm like, oh, this is great. I know exactly what to do with you, and like teasing out why she has it in the first place. But it's always such a pleasure to treat someone for what I came to acupuncture for initially. So anyway, I was living near a good school, and it made sense at that moment to go forward with it.
How long have you been practicing?
20 years.
Wow. I
Mhm.
guess you must like it.
I do. I do. I mean, I'm in awe of it every day still.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, people come in and they're like, oh, yeah, I'm doing better. It's awesome. Like I'm still excited that people respond to acupuncture. Like a majority of people respond really well to acupuncture.
Yeah,
There's a
they do. Yeah.
very small percentage that does not, or that they just um, don't stick with it long enough to get the results. Because it is a therapy, it does take some
Mhm.
time. I tell people if you get immediate results, that's amazing, that's great, but expect it to take, 4 or 5 treatments to
Oh
to
yeah.
get some good results.
Yeah, I share that all the time myself. It's not impossible to have instantaneous results.
Hmm.
Another person I was working with today has some other issues, some abdominal stuff going on, and the classic that I come up with, you already heard me say it, was that how long have you had this issue?
Hmm.
And I tell them as tactfully as I can. They said that they've had it for, again, it's another thing where they've had it for a couple of years. And I
Hmm.
said, well, you should understand that it is possible that you can have miraculous changes, but they
Hmm.
were concerned about, that they've had some change, and it's not the big change that they're hoping for. And I
Hmm.
said, yeah, but this change we're talking about is probably the change that's going to last. And understanding it took you a lot of time to get to this place, it's
Yeah.
going to take some time to get out of it.
Hmm.
And that's just being honest with people.
I tell people like the general rule is how many years you've had the issue is how many months of treatment you might need.
Yep,
And that includes, more treatment at the beginning. And once you're feeling well, then you spread it out and make sure it sticks.
that's
It's,
it.
yeah,
That's
the
yeah,
pattern, like try to solidify the new pattern.
yeah.
So,
Maintenance.
yeah. And I'll ask people like, even unrelated to what they seemingly unrelated to what they're coming in for. I'll ask them, what was your first issue or health problem or anything you remember from childhood, like right from the get-go,
Hmm.
was the first thing, because usually that's going to develop somebody's perspective, somebody's limiting belief patterns. It's usually when we're very little. So I'll often ask what they had to deal with at the beginning, if anything.
Well, I have the question that comes in from people that I work with, and it's the classic. What do you think of acupuncture? And I tell them to me, it's the greatest thing in the world. I think it's wonderful on what it can do. But
Mhm.
for people that may be a little apprehensive, do you
Mhm.
have people that actually contact you and they seem rather apprehensive? And
Oh,
what do you
sure.
tell someone that that maybe they may have fear of needles, or they may have some thought that, oh, this is poppycock, this is just
Yeah, yeah.
one of those little woo woo things, and it's just
Right,
not going to
right.
work. So how do you work through that with someone who's exploring the possibility for acupuncture as a therapy?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first thing is just making it clear that for me, it's nothing personal, right? I practice acupuncture, but I am not acupuncture myself. I am me. So it's whatever somebody wants to believe about acupuncture is really irrelevant, because it's a
Thank you.
therapy, right? It's irrelevant what somebody's thinking, believing. Your brain, your body, your frequencies understand the language of acupuncture. And so if your conscious brain has yet to explore that, that's fine. It works for skeptics as well. And it works for animals, right?
Yeah.
This is what I say when people are, oh, it's placebo. I'm like, okay, well, placebo is great. We like a little bit of placebo. It's got about a 30% success rate. Throw that in there, sure, that's nice. But acupuncture has a much higher percentage success rate. I personally wouldn't invest my whole career in something that only has a 30% success rate.
Yeah.
To me, that's
Yeah. Yeah.
If there's, but when people say that, I say, okay, well, there's a lame horse, they get acupuncture and they get up and start walking.
Hmm.
Right? Was that horse sitting around the fire talking about their belief systems?
No.
No.
We have a good friend who's a vet and veterinarian, and he's been doing acupuncture for animals for years,
Hmm. Hmm.
successfully, I might add, better than 30%. Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Uh,
So, I've had countless people, skeptics coming in, their spouse drags them in and they're reluctant and within a few treatments they're like, oh, I'm a believer. And so I'm like, that's nice, but there's no need to bring your belief systems into this. But yeah, I believe it works so well because our body is mostly water,
yep.
right? And we conduct electricity,
Right.
right? And so we're using metals,
Hmm.
which, have their own frequency and conductivity or magnetism. And those connections just run right up to the brain really quick.
Yeah,
And
they do.
the brain releases whatever, hormones or neurotransmitters or whatever is required to bring the body into homeostasis, the brain will assist with.
Hmm.
So it's a beautiful thing. We have a whole built-in system of self-healing without even, without really having to develop anything. This is like it's built in.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is my instrument.
So you have a book out that you were sharing before we started recording,
Mhm.
and the book itself, tell us about it. Tell us the title and tell us about it. It's intriguing, everybody. Listen to this.
So it's the Acupuncture Point Functions Charts and Workbook. And when I was in school and had to memorize 300 different points and all their functions, which was quite a task, I made charts to help myself memorize. So I drew pictures. I have a background, a small background when I was young in architecture, and so I took each meridian, drew on one or two pages, depending. The larger meridians are on 2 pages, the smaller meridians are on just one page. And then I created a blueprint for the point functions right next to each point so that I can just stare at one sheet at a time and memorize all the point functions. And this became very popular within my class. And, every week we would do a new one and I would print out ones for everybody. Everybody would throw me $1 for each one. And then several years later, one of my colleagues who teaches at Pacific College in Chicago, Mitch Harris, he said he uses his in the clinic still, even as a clinical supervisor.
Wow,
And
nice.
he said, the students are asking about this. You should really do something about this with this. And I said, you're right, I should. So I did. And luckily, the timing worked out perfect because the two main sources of the book, Deadman and Maciocia, they both had revised texts. This was in 2015. They both revised their texts that year.
Hmm.
And so then I was able to kind of digitalize mine and revise mine to match their new texts.
Wow.
So the timing was perfect. And then so I worked with, a graphic design guy and we got it. Um, I found one mistake recently where I was like, oh no, but we'll fix it in the next run. But then I was able to find a publisher and yeah, got it out there. Um, and so most people get it on Amazon, but I'm a little confused with Amazon because I believe they have the right to just like print your other people's work. So I don't know. I don't know how it's really. like if it's going to the publishing house or if it's going to Amazon. So it's a little confusing, but
Well,
it's there and it's helpful. A lot of people like it. It's a great reference book, really quick reference book. If you're in the clinic and just want to just brush up on, what the point functions are. It's a really, and I use abbreviations. There's a key to it, the abbreviations. The whole second part of the book is the charts, but blank, so that if you have something about a point that is not in, Macchioccia and Deadman, you can fill in your own information, or it could be used for testing. And then I also have charts in there of the point locations in
okay.
an architectural rendition. So, it might have like, here's a picture of the arm, here's the three channels on this surface of the arm, and then it has all the measurements of those three.
Okay.
So for each view, it shows, instead of just one channel at a time with the measurements, it shows them in relationship to each other.
So I would say that it sounds like a really good tool for anyone that's involved in body work as well as acupuncture
Mhm.
because of
It
I
is,
mean,
it is.
we had the discussion today because one of the things that I was working with was teaching a continuing ed class, and within the context of the class, I was talking about some points that are actually along the eyebrow,
Mhm.
and we actually have an acupuncturist that works in the same spa, and I talked with her about it, and if I looked it up, and it has two or three possibilities,
Mhm.
and it's the one I'll ask you.
Yeah,
It's the indentation. It's in the
yeah,
middle of the eyebrow,
yeah.
and
It's it's called fish waste or yu yao.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, it's a great point. I use it for vision and I use it for facial rejuvenation, help people
yeah, yeah,
stay lifted, fight
yeah.
gravity.
Anything to help the looks. Well, that's the beauty of it. And the other piece is, people have they're apprehensive when it comes to needles.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm saying, do you have any idea how big an acupuncture needle is? And they
So,
have visions of a hypodermic needle that you get when you get a COVID shot. It ain't the same thing.
not even close. Yeah, I tell people it's pretty much the size of a hair. Do you feel a hair when it falls out?
No.
No, no. And so, some people feel a little bit of a little ache or tug when it first goes in, kind of like if you pulled your arm hair quick
Mm-hmm.
and then let go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it. I tell people it's really anticlimactic. People are like hype themselves up about it and they're like, there's a needle in me. It's in? Are you sure? I'm like, yeah, it's in.
Let
Well,
me ask. Go ahead.
some practitioners are more insistent that the needle have some of that aching sensation, the chi sensation. I'm a little less so. I do try to get a little bit of chi sensation, but I trust the body's electricity is going to know what to do with it. I trust that the brain is going to take the information and release what it needs to release. And even Japanese acupuncture, it's very gentle, barely goes in, and it still works, right? And then you have people like amputees, right?
Hmm.
They might have limb pain. There was a study done, you can actually just lay the needles where the points are, and it still works.
Wow.
Like the energy of that limb is there, and the energy of the needle still interacts with the body.
Wow.
Mind blowing.
That
Yeah.
is. That's
So
definitely mind blowing.
to me that means the idea of getting that chi sensation, and which can be just a little uncomfortable, um, is somewhat unnecessary.
I
So.
think it's interesting when I've received treatments before that if I have blockages in one spot and the cheese moving as it should in another spot, that I can see the needle wiggling.
Mhm.
And that just blows me away, saying, well, it's activated and it's just trying to do its thing. So
Yeah, each point. each organ, they all have frequency going. So
Yeah.
they all have their own frequencies.
So, Erica, tell us a little bit. What are your thoughts about dry needling? It's something that's been around quite a bit. I've had people on my table that talk about it.
Mhm.
Some people complain about it. Some people say it works. What are your thoughts about it?
So
And what is it? There we
okay,
go.
so dry needling is orthopedic acupuncture. So it's acupuncture into trigger points, which are what we call just like the orthopedic motor points. This is most of them are actually acupuncture points or very close to acupuncture points. But when I was in school before dry needling was a thing, um, I took an orthopedic acupuncture class and learned all these points, all these motor points of all the, along the meridians, which they're really pretty much on the meridians or very close to. So yeah, I learned these points in an orthopedic acupuncture class. And so to me, it's orthopedic acupuncture being done by people that go for a short course, that aren't licensed acupuncturists. So what happened was a physical therapist went to acupuncture school for a short time, learned some things, and dropped out and started a corporation called Kineticore. And Kineticore, he then, he started using the word dry needling for this trigger point acupuncture, and then started going around teaching weekend courses to PTs and chiros and and so people started doing dry needling without it actually being in their scope of practice in most states. So
Yeah.
most people were doing it illegally,
Hmm.
but because the acupuncture lobby is, there's not that many of us, it's pretty small. So having enough weight for lobbying was a problem. It's gone through the court systems in a lot of states, and some states it's deemed this is acupuncture, so no, you can't do this without a license. Um, but they still do it.
Hmm.
Uh, and then in other states, it says, no, it's different because you're not using, the language of acupuncture, right? Well, the language of acupuncture has evolved over the past, 30 years to include the Western language of what it's doing to the muscles. And, like the language is there, and acupuncturists get trained in, Western mindset of physiology and pathophysiology, and so to me, it was a way for the PTs and chiros really to skirt licensure for acupuncture and just do a quick way to absorb it into their professions. And so it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And I put dry needling on my menu and just put trigger point acupuncture
Hmm.
underneath just so it's there, because people do ask about it, and then I
Hmm.
have to let them know, okay, well, this is what we call a branch treatment. You're just saying, hey, I hurt here. Let's put a needle in the closest motor point. There's no elegance to, with acupuncture, it's an art form.
Hmm.
I use my intuition. I do what I know is going to be helpful for somebody, and then I step back and I use my intuition and say, okay, what points might be talking to me outside of this treatment that I've just began. And so it's like putting those, the last strokes on a painting. It's yeah, so it is an art form. And so it just kind of poops all over that.
Well, I appreciate the way that you approach it too, Erica, because in my way of thinking, if I'm going to have if I'm going to have dry needling, I'll use the term. If I'm going to have dry needling, with all due respect, I think it's great. I mean, I teach workshops all the time, but I teach workshops within my frame of practice, and I teach it within my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And the thing that bothers me a little bit, I suppose, is, and you use the term, quick. And that's what our society is built on. How quick can we have this?
Yeah.
Instant gratification, all this kind of stuff. And it's in my book, in my way of thinking, if I'm going to have that treatment, this is just me. Everyone is entitled to their opinions, but I'm going to go to an acupuncturist before, with all due respect. I have a chiropractor. I've had osteopaths in my life,
Oh
but,
yeah. Yeah.
and I let them work on my joints, and I let them work on, other aspects of me. If I
Yeah.
need to have any kind of needle outside of a hypodermic needle for a COVID shot, I'm gonna have an acupuncturist do it. But that's just me.
I've added into my practice in Florida, we are required to learn APIT, which is acupuncture point injection therapy.
Hmm.
And when I moved here a few years ago, I was required to learn that. And
And
I was
what is that?
so we are allowed to inject homeopathics,
Hmm.
herbs, vitamins into acupuncture points.
Wow. Does
Um,
it?
and it is amazing. I'm
Oh,
having
is it? Okay.
amazing results. I'm just using homeopathics right now because that's the safest thing. And I would like to go that route with starting, starting the journey with APIT. But um, I'm having amazing results with it. And so, in terms of a quick fix, I'm more likely to suggest APIT versus dry needling
Okay.
uh, because I can, I've been able to get really quick results. So
Well, that makes a lot of sense to
yeah,
me.
it's a nice
And
add-on too to acupuncture. So if I'm doing acupuncture and let's say after a few treatments, I haven't seen quite as much result as I'd like,
Mhm.
uh, I may suggest like, hey, let's add this into the mix.
I
So.
like your way of thinking. And that's exactly the way that I think. If this doesn't work, there's got to be a reason for that. And my question for myself is, and it's not meant to be uh, necessarily a critical point, I guess, but why isn't it working? What am I doing, or what am I not doing? What am I missing?
Mhm.
So I want to analyze that situation and say there's got to be something else here that I'm missing.
Mhm.
And if I can't find it, guess what I do? I find somebody else, and I will refer people out any day,
Mhm.
because my most important person when they are in my space is my client.
Mhm.
And if it means I need to send them on for their wellness, I'm going to send them on, because I obviously can't help them. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because as
Yeah.
warped as I am, I believe the universe will just send me somebody else. You know?
Yes.
So, so we talk about these things like branch treatments, and we've talked about this other, when we have someone who is getting, I'm going to say the term maintenance, do you find that people have maintenance acupuncture, and that overall they tend to be, well, I'm going to ask you, how's the response usually for someone that has a usual, I'm going to say, routine, dare I
Mhm.
say this word, but they
Yeah.
come in every 2 weeks, they come in every 3 weeks, they come in once a month. What is their overall health, would you say, if they come in for acupuncture like that?
So I was just saying to someone today, the people that have been doing maintenance acupuncture for years, you can tell because they look 10, 15 years, sometimes 20 years younger.
Mm-hmm.
And the why of that, I was just exploring that today because at the place I work, local wellness, they do skincare as well. And they just started using this, what is it, plated.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and they use exosomes and those are like membranes that help, with the getting things in and out of cells and
Right.
there's a thing there. But I was starting to look up like, oh, well, how does acupuncture if these exosomes are good for skin, maybe this is how acupuncture is helping people look younger. Maybe it activates the exosomes in the cells. And yeah, turns out there's several studies. I was looking on PubMed. There's several studies showing that yeah, acupuncture can help with the exosomes, even with things like depression, major depression.
Yeah.
Um, so I was pretty excited to see that today. I'm going to do a little more digging on that, but it would be nice to have that answer. Like, well, why do people look younger?
I tell, people will ask me, they'll say, how often should I get a massage? And one of the things that I preface it with is keeping in mind that in the West, and it is shifting. I've noticed it in the years that I've been doing the work. But for the most part, in the West, people still see massage as a luxury,
Mhm.
and they don't see it as with its
Self-care.
true nature of helping people.
Mhm.
And there are other countries that see it in the sense of they go in to get massage, they go in to get acupuncture, they go into their Chinese herbalist,
Mhm.
on a regular basis, and for that reason, they're centenarians.
Mhm.
Hello.
Yeah.
And
Well, I
it's
mean, traditionally, the acupuncturist's job was to keep everybody healthy and alive in the village around them.
yeah,
And when somebody died or like had major disease and died, the acupuncturist was required to put a little, the doctor puts a candle in the window as a showing like, oh, I messed up, like
yeah.
somebody died. This is partly my doing, by not catching or by, you
Well,
know,
it's the magic word, the other magic word that tends to kind of evade us these days, and that's the word is accountability
yeah.
and
Mhm.
responsibility.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've had people that come in, and the explanation that I have is if you come in for a regular body work, and that's great, even if you don't feel the pain or you don't feel stiffness, you still come anyway. I
Yeah.
said the big deal is when something does come along, guess what happens? You recover faster.
Oh
And
yeah.
I will say this
Hmm.
from experience, Erica. Age is not a factor when it comes to that. If they are having regular massage or having regular treatments, regular acupuncture, because I have a gentleman that I've been seeing for years, and he does both. He does acupuncture and he has massage therapy. And
Hmm.
I do one, he goes to the other person for the other.
Yeah.
And he's healthy.
Yeah.
Imagine that. And when he does get sick,
I received acupuncture throughout my graduate schooling.
hmm
And at the end, one of my teachers was my acupuncturist and mentor. And at the end of the schooling, she's like, "You're probably the only one that's actually stronger now than when you started."
hmm,
Because school, it's pretty rigorous and it takes a lot out of you.
yeah,
So I was doing regular maintenance every 2 weeks. I went to her throughout that 4 years, and yeah, I graduated stronger, because of it, for sure.
yeah. So you stay pretty active on stuff. I can tell that by going to your website. And by the way, the website is joyvisionacu.com. Is that correct?
Yep, joyvisionacu.com. Yep.
And the curiosity that I have is, and I'm wandering around here really quick, but on your site, you have all sorts of opportunities for people to learn different things. And I'm looking like you mentioned, homeopathic injectables, cold laser acupuncture, cupping or gua sha,
Yeah.
and all kinds of stuff like that. So do you teach or do you have workshops or do you have talks that you offer to people that are curious about acupuncture or any kind of online thing that you
So,
offer?
so sometimes I speak publicly. A class. Someone might invite me to teach a class, on complementary medicine, or so. Yes, I do teach sometimes, but nothing formal or regular.
Hmm.
But I am in the works. I'm working on something. So I do something called the Acunova protocol. It's from Denmark, And I've been experimenting doing it with the red light laser, a cold laser
Yep.
instead of the needles, because I have done it on kids and it's much easier to use a laser on kids than it is the needles. And that goes for adults as well. That particular protocol, it helps to improve vision and also stop the degeneration of the deterioration of vision when you're diagnosed with, macular degeneration, glaucoma, eye diseases that will cause blindness. And so it helps to, reduce the speed at which somebody loses their vision.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
um, so anyway, I'm in the works doing some research with it so that it can be clear, like how is this affecting the brain when we use a laser? Is it still activating the ocular centers and the right nerve, the cranial nerves of the brain? So if that winds up being a positive, then yes, I will be most likely touring around teaching that
Okay.
particular protocol. And it's something that really I could teach people to do online, even on themselves. So it might wind up being a course for people to do at home as well.
Okay. That's kind of that was the next question
Mhm. Yeah.
about helping people because the program does go worldwide, but there may be people around the world that are curious about acupuncture and they may need some guidance and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Are you available to give them some thoughts, or if they hear the program, they're in the UK, they're in Europe or whatever, and they reach out to you through your website? Do you
Yep. My
have like a
website
network
has
that you can get in touch with people?
I mean, I'm on, my information is all on my website. So, I mean, you can call me directly, you can email me directly. I'm happy to do telehealth sessions where people can learn some acupressure on themselves. They can learn laser for themselves and get one, I could suggest what to get. And so yeah, I'm always happy to do telehealth as well.
Thank you. That's also what I wanted to hear.
Yes, yeah.
Telehealth is the up and coming thing, and I've tinkered with it a little bit, but it's an interesting thing, isn't it? That we have come so far, Erica, and yet we need to make that contact sometimes to
Mhm.
help people really find what's best for them. And
Yeah.
speaking of what's best, what does Erica do to create a better life for herself?
So well, I like to walk on the beach at
Hmm.
sunrise here.
Ah,
And so that really is a amazing way to start the day, getting some sunlight, getting some natural light in the right first thing in the morning, getting some beauty first thing in the morning. So that's how I like to start my day. And then I actually make music as well. My husband and I make music. I love to dance, so I make dance music.
so
And
okay. I was going to ask what kind of music are you doing? Because I love music.
yeah, it's dance, but it's kind of like I guess it would fall under kind of organic EDM.
Okay. Okay.
So it's listenable, but it's danceable. Listenable but danceable.
Can't
Um,
remember where we were recently, but I heard, and it was EDM that was playing, and I said, "Man, I don't know what it is about that, but I really like it. It's
yeah.
really cool." And I said, "Well, that's EDM," and I said, "Okay, cool. I'm with you."
Yeah. Yeah, it's super fun. I'm just really beginning that project. And I call it I am Erica.
Okay. Is
So that's my fun creative.
Are
Uh
you up on Spotify or are you up
yeah.
on any of the other?
Yeah. I am Erica. Yeah.
Okay, everybody, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go check it out and
Yeah,
see.
pretty fun.
Um, so
And
there. Mhm.
yeah, I was just gonna say, I have a family and have children. And so, they're a big part of my joy as well, even my teenager.
Teenagers. they're given to us to remind us what we were like for our parents. You
Yeah,
know that, right? It's called karma. It takes
yeah.
a while, but it gets there.
Mhm. I've got that lesson. Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any thoughts that you'd like to leave with our listeners about acupuncture and just, thoughts along those lines?
Well, just that there's nothing to be scared of with it. It's just a matter of being a little brave if you're hesitant, and having trust and faith in your own body's ability to heal itself, because that's what's happening with acupuncture and body work. We just know how to push the buttons and which buttons to push, but it's really your body and your mind that's doing the work. And so yeah, I would say if you if you're hesitant, then just jump in anyway. And most people are like, oh, I should have done this 20 years ago.
Yep.
And it's very rare that someone regrets doing acupuncture.
Yeah.
It can happen, but very rare.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Erica, this has been a wonderful, pointed experience. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it. Thank you for
Thanks
having
ever so much. This is wonderful. Do enjoy your walk on the beach because I remember that as well.
me. Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you.
Well, that's our show for this week, and thanks as well to Erica Joy Siegel for demystifying acupuncture. Hope you enjoyed it on this episode. There are links in the show notes for connecting with Erica, along with a link for purchasing her book and finding out more about her on the web. Also, a very special thank you to each and every one of you, dear listeners, for tuning in. As always, if you're seeking insights and advice on how to create that better life for yourself individually, and if you'd like to dive in a little bit deeper into self-care, self-development, experience hypnotherapy, distant shamanic work, Reiki, or herbalism, drop me a line, kevin@towardabetter.life.com for your free discovery call. In the discovery call, we can discuss your goals, set plans for achieving them, and moving forward with your journey toward a better life. You can also visit my website, towardabetter.life.com, for past episodes, blog entries, ways to enhance your spiritual journey, and upcoming events, like the upcoming event coming up next month. I'll be offering 2 continuing education classes for massage therapists on October the 11th. That's, of course, this week. And November the 8th and 9th, I'm going to be in Charleston, South Carolina. The details are on my website. There are also a few products to assist you on your journey there. So do visit my website. Write to me with your inquiries, kevin@towardabetter.life.com. Please do subscribe to the program and do so through your favorite podcast platform, and leave a review, if you would please, on Apple, Spotify, Overcast, or whatever podcast platform you might be using. This helps to spread the word about the podcast and helps to create, well, a better life. And always remember, if you'd like to share your story, music, prose, or if you want to be a guest on my program, just write to me, kevin@towardaBetterLife.com. Until next week, enjoy your journey toward a better life.